Hi, my name is Jacob Neiman. This is the June meeting of the Complete Streets Oversight Board of Montclair Township. June 11th, 12 noon, second floor conference room. The meeting was advertised and noticed as is appropriate under the Open Public Meetings Act. And yeah, we're about to kick off. I'll start with the roll. Myself is in attendance. Mayor Baskerville.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shin Anderson said she will be here in just a few moments. Councilor Toller is present. The Director Talley informed me she would be absent. Director Ashley.
Present.
Engineer Hernandez.
Here.
Sergeant Karendang informed me he would be absent. Public Member Veach.
Here.
Great. Copies of the minutes for the last meeting are available on the table if anyone has any notes or edits. Don't want to be full screen. Okay. Okay. I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions. There you go. Okay. We don't have any resolutions on the agenda, and so nothing there. I'm going to wait for the deputy mayor to get here in regards to cover the schedule change, since she'll just be a few minutes. And so we'll go to old business, and just wanted to ask Norberto any updates on the Harrison Avenue project that you may want to share, if it's just continuing engineering, whatever may be.
Yeah, so right now, well, last meeting, I recall, we discussed the project at length, the scope and plans are shared. At this point, we can expect at the next mayor and council meeting, there will be a resolution for the board, the council to vote, authorize us to go out to bid for that project.
Excellent.
So once we receive that authorization, the information that contract will be presented for award at the August mayor and council meeting.
So that means we have no funds anywhere that we can use to go toward this project at this time.
We have funding available currently in place for this project.
Mm-hmm.
So
when it comes to us and we're going out to bid now, we're just going out to who's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the funding come from?
the prior last year's capital ordinance for paving.
Okay.
We have about so just to kind of back up a little bit. It's not specifically on here, but it has been discussed in prior meetings. So Maple Avenue, another project that we've been going out to bid. We opened bids yesterday.
But that money came from community development block grant, right?
Partially, yeah.
Partially.
That was a $200,000 grant. So the low bid, and this is
Hi,
preliminary.
Susan, how are you? I'm sorry. Hey, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
For everyone's, awareness, these are preliminary results. We still have to review the actual submission to make sure that all the documents and requirements that you had provided were in fact provided. As it stands right now, the low potential low bidder came in at $316,000 for Maple. Yeah. The second low was about $360,000. I believe the high bid was somewhere in the range of like $425,000. About 7 bidders total. So
I'm confused. I was asking a question about the Harrison
Yeah.
Avenue, and we seem to have gone from Harrison
Yeah.
Avenue to Maple.
So the reason is, so we have about $1.4 million left
Okay.
in total in our paving budget. So
And how much are we
that
trying
does
to
not
leave?
include-
Like,
that does
are
not
we
include Maple
anticipating a
Avenue.
portion?
Yeah.
Are we anticipating you want to put X amount for this project? Because we know there's other projects.
Yeah.
and we're gonna try to find money somewhere else, or are we just going to, since this is the first one up, give it everything that it needs out of there, even if it's 1.4 million, and have nothing else left? I'm just trying to get a sense for how we allocate the funds that we already have in the capital budget.
Yes, Maple Avenue will be drawn down from that $1.4 million, leaves with about $1 million left.
So of
Harrison
the
Avenue.
money that we've got for community development block grant, how much will we have to take from the 1.4 million for the
Well,
Maple?
we have to fully fund that up front. And it's a reimbursement basis.
But we'll get
So we'll get
reimbursed.
reimbursed at the end of the project, when the project's complete, but we have to provide the funds upfront and encumber that, in order to award the contract.
Okay,
So that'll be the full 300 and that is award the contract, upfront. So we can't really rely on the $20,000 reimbursement for using for other projects like Harrison, because that money's gonna be used up now. So we'll have about $1 million left for Harrison Avenue and any other, roadway repair maintenance projects, which we're working with DCS on that as well. So as of right now, we're aiming for about, a budget of about $600,000 to $700,000 for Harrison Avenue, with the balance of that, to be, used for other maintenance items that just things that, you know.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. No,
Yeah.
thank you for explaining it, because I'm trying to figure out that capital budget is from when to when. This 1.4 that's sitting there now takes us up to what? When?
Sorry, Mayor, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to stop you there. So currently we have 4 counselors
Oh.
in attendance
Oh,
and
oh.
we can't do that.
Uh,
And so I'm gonna need a counselor or the mayor to excuse themselves. Well, no, the mayor, yeah, I'm gonna need a counselor to excuse themselves.
All right.
We're sitting in the back of the room. Yeah, you can sit in the back of the room and be not a part of the voting conversation.
I,
And they do it downstairs, so let's don't act like they don't do it downstairs. They do.
People should show up. Yeah. So that's where I mean, and just to be clear, I mean, that's it. That's the remaining money we have left to do.
But I guess my question maybe is for Director Ashton. So I'm trying to figure out, do we have like a plan, whether it's yearly or 5 years or what, with the capital budget money? We have X amount. First of all, I want to know how far the 1.4 million needs to take us, to what point? Like, do we have a year to go for that, whatever? And then how do we allocate capital funds? Do we just first come, first serve, like this is up now? Or do you have some idea like we need to have boom, 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 these things all done? So then if a Harrison comes, we know that you've got your capital plan already and you need maybe $1 million of this, maybe $1.2 million of this just to accomplish what you have in your 5-year plan.
Right.
So we only have, whatever left to do this. I'm just trying to figure out
Sure.
how we're doing this.
Yeah, so we have a 6-year capital improvement plan,
Okay,
which, depending on the availability of funds, and it is prioritized within the department, not just of roads, but other capital improvements.
Mhm.
So this year's capital budget has not been done yet. This funding was money that came from a 2025
Five,
capital
okay.
bond.
Okay,
So we will submit that. Haven't got notification of when to submit that capital improvements plan to the manager, but once he has that, that'll just be gone over by the council, and that's who ultimately makes the final determination of what gets funded in that capital improvement plan.
so
But
was
yes, we
this
do-
left over, the 1.4 that you said was from 2025?
Mm-hmm.
Was it money that was not spent during that time and that's how you have it now? Or how do we have 1.4 million now to go towards this Harrison Avenue? I mean, whatever we need to go
Right.
towards that project.
So these have been in planning for a number of years.
Yeah, except for the Harrison Avenue not. That's what I'm trying to figure out, where that money came from, how it just happened to be there.
Well, so this was money that was going towards the general road program.
Okay,
But the,
which for mostly was milling and paving in the
Correct,
past,
right.
okay,
And
okay.
those-
Curbing and curbing.
And curbing, right, milling, paving, curbing,
Right.
okay,
so the determination was made by this body that this was a priority road. So that we took with more of the money that would have normally been just for paving, milling, and curbing, and
okay,
dedicated to do more safety improvements.
okay, fair
So
enough,
it is a trade-off.
right,
So we'll be paving more roadway miles because of the priority list, but that's, I think a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
But there still needs to be a maintenance program for just general milling and paving.
and people need to understand that, I think the general public needs to understand, it. Just like we have a list of where people can go and look and see where their streets are. In terms of that, you need to know that if we do X, Y, and Z projects, expect that you're not gonna get your street, paved or, curved or whatever, because we're doing things that they need to understand that, obviously this is a real safety concern, and that's why we're doing it. I think everybody would be in favor, but I just think the communication needs to be there so that people understand that, so that we understand where the money is coming from.
Sure.
Thank
Okay.
you, I appreciate it.
So one thing we did want to just kind of bring it to the board, for discussion and input. So for Harrison Avenue specifically, we've had some dialogue back and forth on, about the inclusion of our RFBs, rectangular flashing beacon signs. Those are the
Yeah.
ones that you push when you want to cross and they flash, yellow to other drivers that you are trying to cross. So currently, don't believe there are any RFPs along it. So, we can add that in to the project at every crossing along this stretch. There's about 14 crosswalks crossing Harrison Avenue. Keep in mind, these are not cheap.
And I have a concern about that, right? Because it seems like we discussed a plan and the group voted on what that was, and that's X amount. So my hope is that now we're not just going to get carried away and spend all the money that we can possibly think to spend on Harrison Avenue. And we still have people dying and getting hit all in the other locations, and we have numerous, even 2 last week at the intersection in the Orange Road, and the people going there, and some areas in Valley Road that we've identified. So my hope is that we would look then at all of the areas in town that we've identified that might benefit from the rectangular rapid beacons before we just start putting more and more and more there. So everybody that goes up Harrison Avenue may stand a chance to survive, but we still haven't done anything there. So I just wouldn't keep just putting more and more there. If we have, and I think that I'm in favor of those things and I like that, but I think then we should take a look at all of the areas in town that we've identified as very high risk areas and figure out would any other area benefit from them too. And maybe we can give the plan that we have for the Harrison Avenue a chance to see if that's going to work the way we've already envisioned it. Maybe we can give some of the rapid beacons to other areas that may have nothing. We talked about some other areas. Yeah.
So, I have a couple questions. What's the timeframe for deciding how many, where? You said there were 14 or something?
It's about 14 intersections, although some of them will either are or will be converted to multi-way stops. So in those cases, we wouldn't have those crossing signs because you have stops.
That's on Harrison
On
at 14,
Harrison.
right?
Right.
And
But bottom line is you're probably looking at somewhere around the range of $20,000 of
for
signs.
14.
Or somewhere in the range of
Stop
10 to 14 signs,
Okay.
of sets of those signs. At those crossings.
$200,000
So
for
it's
10
a
to
big,
14.
it's a big number for the signs. They're great and, they're useful. But to the mayor's point, we don't want to be the one to make the final
Yeah.
decision without having, it's a lot of money to be spent that could be used elsewhere. So that's kind of the question. Just looking for feedback. How do you want to tackle that?
I'm just wondering if, so those 14 intersections, is that the entirety of where we're working? Is this?
This is from the West Orange border to, Llewellyn.
Yeah.
So would it be possible to maybe highlight and pick those intersections that we have a pattern of crashes or we might see this pattern? Like, for example, on our 2021-23 data, Orange Road, Harrison Avenue, and Union Street. It's like 17 injuries, 12
That's the
crashes.
traffic signal.
Traffic.
Yeah, so
Okay, so that was-
and that's beyond
Yeah.
where we're working,
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
Yeah.
but are there places that we can kind of
Well,
narrow
the
it
most,
in?
well, the most, at least to my knowledge, and Jake, can obviously chime in as well, the most problematic intersections are already being addressed through, conversion to forward, so Harrison and Llewellyn, that was a big one
Right.
that we know was problematic, that's currently a four-way stop.
But I don't see that they're being addressed, right? What are we doing for, the triangle that the cars keep running into down in South End? And what are we doing for the area at the high
So-
Irving and whatever?
So
And would
Norberto,
any of these little rectangular rapid beacons, maybe they might help before they go into the crash into the wall there where the trees are. It's the South End
Yeah.
Triangle.
Norberto was referring specifically to the Harrison Avenue improvements.
Oh, okay.
He was saying at
Okay.
numerous of the intersections on Harrison,
Right.
there has been action by the council,
So-
mayor and council.
Okay, so the
to
plan is just to
provide-
do the entire Harrison and not look at anything else until we finish with all of Harrison Avenue?
No,
'Cause
no,
we have a plan that many people here thought was a great plan and was voted on and it passed and not cheap. And so I'm saying now, rather than see if all of those things that we have, stop here, stop there, this there, that there, one way here, one way there, we don't know that might solve the entire problem on Harrison Avenue. We don't know. So why would we just keep doubling down on things before we even give this $1 million plan or $700,000 plan an opportunity to work? It may be the whole thing that's causing. And I go there every day and I see the traffic. They zoom like crazy.
No, you're right, and I agree with you. This is
Yeah.
why we originally did not include that additional
Yeah,
signage, because
yeah.
it's a lot of money that can, be used elsewhere. There's a lot of ground to cover all across town. So we didn't include it, but
And even
before
on the
we
Valley
move
Road
forward,
and
and
the
then
Alvin
the
place.
question comes in after, well, why didn't you include it? So we want to have that discussion now, to make sure that everyone's in agreement and on the same page on, how we want to tackle, these issues, because the reality too, and what we've experienced, is once you put one up,
Everybody's gonna want one.
You know.
Not that, but we only have X amount of money. That's why I
Right.
think it's important that everybody understands this, because people think we're like, we have money to do a lot of things. I think you all are doing a magnificent job in making the decisions. I appreciate your 6-year plan, but we need to understand that. So if we're already spending, a chunk of money here for something that we think is gonna help, let's see if it helps. Let's see what's left. So if it turns out that it helps some, but we need to then go back and maybe try something else, like we did at the 341 Orange Road. We've tried for decades to fix that, and nothing has seemed to fix that, right? So you go back and you go back and you go back. So I think we ought to have a similar thing with this. I don't think we need to put all of our resources in one street and leave the others unchecked. Let's give it a chance and see. Of course, if it doesn't work, the ultimate goal is to be the safest we can for everyone.
So I don't think, I agree, I'm very hesitant to spend all the money for 14, to put our, these beacons, I mean, very helpful.
Yeah.
But at every intersection, so going back to the point of, this is supposed to be an enhancement of the safety measures that are already being planned with the four-way stop signs. I do wonder if there is like some kind of a best practice, and also can we look at the most problematic intersections that we have data for that aren't getting the four-way stops, particularly in like, I mean, I don't know, I mean, this is a sort of separate thing, but I always thought like flashing beacons should be where, in front of the school, Fish Lane. So I don't know if there are any plans for that intersection specifically. But is there a way that we can look at the data
data.
before we, and maybe have some suggestions about where those flashing beacons can be? And, maybe we could solicit, like, present the proposed plan in general for, you know, residents who live along the corridor and see what they think. And just explain, like, we can't put them at every single intersection, but these are where we feel like.
Yeah.
it would be
Or,
most
or maybe it's like a Google vote or like
Yeah.
a survey.
Yeah.
And say, this is a corridor, and these are the improvements, specific streets that it feel might benefit with it.
I think Director Neiman has identified some places before, like last week, I mean, not last week, when we had our last meeting, we were talking about some other areas that needed some attention, right? And so already I'm thinking, I don't know if any of those would be appropriate, but I'm just thinking maybe before we just put all of them, you know, like there, we should think where else might we be able to use that? And
So I'm getting a general consensus, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we think the plan as is without the RRFBs for the most part is a good plan, and that we can take a look at the data to see if there's any particular intersections that deserve greater attention that haven't already been addressed by the various traffic control measures that have been put in place over the last few months. And any implementations we do, we would target to those specific intersections, because $200,000 is a lot of money, and it can be put to a lot of uses all over town. And so does that answer your question?
Yeah, we just want to make sure that the conversation took place.
Yeah,
oh, it's important.
and that's why
Thank
we're
you. It's
here
important.
in like a literal sense.
And thank you for bringing it out, that we have these opportunities. So as we plan, we can include them. So it's important. Thank you.
But if it could be considered, what Amy and I were proposing is like, once there is, you know, after all of this is done, and there's a sense of like where it could be, if there could be some sort of public engagement, or at least let people know this is what's being done.
That's funny that you would say that you and Amy were proposing that, because I think that's exactly what Dr. Baskerville was proposing, that we shouldn't just put it all there. We should go other places, and it's important that we include the community to do that. But some people never include my name when they talk about whatever it is. So I'll just say that's exactly what Mayor Baskerville was
Thank you,
talking
Mayor.
about.
You did say that.
Thank you, Norberto,
Thank
for
you.
the update. Looking forward to getting the bids. And correct me if I'm wrong, just a brief sidetrack, the Maple Ave bids are a bit lower than we expected they were going to be, because we were talking around $400,000 for that. So that's good to hear.
Our estimate was around the $390,000 range, so we're in the middle. So the high was 425, low was 216, but the bulk of them were between that 160 to 420 range. So yes, so we came in slightly below our bid budget, so it's good. I mean, money can be used.
We're anticipating higher asphalt prices, which haven't materialized.
Right.
Which is odd.
Don't ask questions, Austin. Don't ask questions.
I wondered if year I should do my job when the asphalt didn't go up.
Okay, great. Thank you. So next up on the agenda, the SS4A update. So good news, we got our NEPA docs approved. Our categorical exclusion was accepted for the demo projects. Unfortunately, it happened too late to do a thoughtful, well-done demo project for this school year. So we're going to plan to do that in the fall. We've already started outreach, in particularly with the intersection of Cedar and High to the Nishwain School, their principals, so we can do a really cool job with that. And I'm connecting the community engagement folks on the grant with all the people involved. So we're going to plan to do those demonstration projects this fall. But we're very excited to have the environmental review done. And that also opens up actually a second, the second tranche of money. So the first half of the grant we're able to access those funds from the start, but the second half of the grant had to come after the environmental documents. So
When would we
good things all
expect
around.
that? When we anticipate?
We've passed the environmental documents part of things. So the second tranche of money will have opened up for
okay.
reimbursement. Yeah, and it, like the Maple Avenue project, it's a reimbursement grant, and so we outlay, but we get the money back on the back end.
Excellent.
So Good news
Great.
there. And then the second part is we received the kind of the draft of the proposed countermeasures for the top 15 corridors that need attention according to the analysis of the consultants. That was all distributed electronically to members of the board. I can distribute it to any members of the public or anyone else who likes to see it too for their review.
Is it on the website where somebody can go and find it or not yet?
I'll make sure Matt gets it posted
Okay.
for review. I would have printed it out, but as Mayor Baskerville knows, when you do that, it comes out very small and very hard to read. And so I didn't think it was of particular value. I didn't have enough magnifying glasses to share with everyone. But it didn't provide any recommendations that were, I don't want to say out of the ordinary, but it was all the normal expected sorts of recommendations. And I'll go through just for folks at home. And so folks can see an example using Chestnut, which is has been put as the #1 prioritized roadway in town as part of the local safety action plan. And if I can zoom, no, okay. And so the recommendations are broken down into corridor wide and then specific intersection based recommendations. So corridor wide, it talks about improving signals to ensure that positioning and arrangement is appropriate for both motor vehicles and cyclists and pedestrians, and then also update detection, that sort of thing. Determine whether we should change some of the signal timings, introduce a leading pedestrian interval or yellow change or red clearance intervals to ensure that cars have enough time to get through without risking pedestrians crossing and all that. Do an assessment on whether we need to improve the street lighting, pedestrian scale lighting around there. Reconstruct curb ramps and sidewalks to make them ADA compliant. Consider implementing traffic calming, whether that be chicanes, speed humps, or neck downs, and do some restriping and improved parking prohibitions, and then improvements to visibility. So like those are the types of recommendations they make on a corridor, right? Things that are appropriate the entire length of it and are going to have impacts on the entire stretch. You're not going to only improve traffic signals at one intersection, right? Like you do that along the entire corridor. And it's important to note that these are not mandates or requirements. These are recommendations. And that's why it often says, consider implementing traffic calming. It's not forcing us to do anything. It's just what they would suggest could be helpful. It then also goes into specific recommendations for specific intersections. So for example, Chestnut Street at Valley Road, high visibility crosswalks, daylight the intersection so that it's easier to see, and harden center lines, which prevent people from turning the wrong way and kind of direct traffic in certain directions.
What's hardened center line?
A hardened center line is a physical barrier that would prevent a car or discourage a car from going the wrong direction or changing, going in the wrong location, right? So an example would be, it was proposed and the county did not approve of it on Bloomfield Avenue, but it had been discussed to put a hardened center line where the Whole Foods is to stop cars from going straight across or stop them from making the left, right? It's a physical barrier.
But it's not a rumble strip.
It's not a rumble strip.
Okay.
No, a rumble strip is different. That's a noisemaker. It's an attention getter. A hardened center line is a physical barrier, whether it be a curbing or delineators, something like that.
Jake,
Okay.
when you're talking about sightline, daylighting and intersection, are they talking about, or the sightlines, are they specifically talking about inside the intersection, or are they talking about encroachment onto a private property?
They're talking about both. So they mentioned implement tree and brush trimming to improve intersection lighting and visibility as necessary as a corridor wide thing. And so that's in Montclair, that comes from code enforcement, right? Code is ultimately responsible for that sort of property maintenance on private property. If it's township property, obviously we would be responsible. But that sort of thing is kind of to the side. The daylighting they're talking about is more at the intersection itself, preventing parking close to the intersection, making sure there's painted curbs or delineators to stop cars from, sneaking around the corners or whatever it may be. So that's both but in different circumstances.
Can you describe just a little bit? I'm trying to visualize.
Sure.
Is it like a hump in the road, a little humpy?
A hardened center line? So
Yeah.
I can actually
Oh,
pull
I have
up.
my phone. I can pull it up.
No, so they actually included in their, what they sent to us.
Yeah, I forgot that I had my devices here. I put them over here so you didn't burn.
Well, and I feel like center line really helps with those left-hand turns.
Yes.
Because drivers can't cut it short or kind of cut the angle way up to kind of spinning out, they have to slow down.
Okay.
It's really, I think, gonna happen.
I sent it. Apologies, hold on one sec. Included in, and I had emailed this as well, and I can post it alongside. There's also a description of the countermeasures.
Okay.
And so, let me share this. Apologies for the delay here.
They're describing some of them as rubber bones. Are they rubber or are they concrete?
There's different options.
Okay.
So there's not one description.
Okay.
They can be rubber.
Okay.
A hardened center line is going to be,
So the rubber would be easier and the lower cost of, or would you guys recommend?
It'd be faster, it's easier place. What often happens is those, especially rubber ones in the winter, they'll be plowed up.
Yeah. Especially like a valley or the.
Yeah. And often these things, they're good for those who are gonna follow and obey the traffic laws, but they will often frequently hit items.
and depending on the design, that can be more or less impactful, right? So the example up here
Okay.
is basically just a low curb. And that low curb is helpful in that it helps guide traffic and helps kind of keep folks where they're going, but it also can get driven over without causing damage. If you have them and they incorporate delineators or are taller, when you have conflicts, right, those are going to be damaged more frequently and require more repair. But they should also really be used in areas where you have real concerns about if they're hitting this thing, if they're not going to hit this hardened center line or this protective element, what would they be hitting instead? And so when you want to protect someone, it's much better they hit an object
Yeah.
than it is that they hit a person or another vehicle.
Yeah.
And so that's a
I
hardened
thought
center
those
line.
were, what do you, cause a low speed hump. I've seen some of those.
Yeah, those.
But I just thought it was a low speed hump.
No, so because they're parallel to the traffic, right? They're
Okay,
going alongside the
okay,
traffic.
Okay.
They're not intending for you to hit them
I got
in the way
Okay.
that you are intended to go over a speed hump.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And so this document lays out all of the descriptions for the recommendations. So talks about what it means
Yeah.
to,
Got it.
put in a high friction surface treatment or pedestrian refuge islands. And so.
I'm a little bit curious as to why the county, did you give a reason for not moving the Hudson Center line, where the fence is to? That's a pretty dangerous intersection for.
Comments. I think it was just a no.
Yeah. And when we mentioned it at the last oversight board meeting, when Rick was here, we had talked about it as a possible option at Valley Road for the same reason, to prevent people from crossing. And it was also another no, without any real explanation. Even though it is on their plan as an acceptable proven safety countermeasure in the Essex County plan. And so should that conversation come up again, it's a little more reason for them to consider it, because they did agree to include it as a possible countermeasure.
Yeah.
Bring us data that we could.
Yeah.
Help,
Yeah.
maybe be more compelling.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
And so to just continue through, there were some suggestions for incorporating added sidewalks. The south side of Chestnut between Valley and Central does not currently have a sidewalk. And so consider adding sidewalks to that section. Consider raised crosswalks at certain intersections and RFBs. And so these are the sorts of recommendations that are included in this plan. I'm using Chestnut as the example. It covers 15 streets in town, including Claremont and Union, Bellevue Avenue, Pine Street, kind of touching all points in town, Cedar Avenue. And so, yeah, we already discussed if there were any concerns we had about types of countermeasures. We talked about not wanting, rumble strips in residential areas, and they've kept to that. And so just wanted to share that all with you all and discuss. If you have any questions, want further review, I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, I think just a couple questions.
Yeah.
Particularly when I was looking at the suggestions, I noticed that they had suggested moving bus stops.
Yes.
To several of the streets. So I was wondering what what were their reasons for suggesting that? Were there specific complaints or instances, or I just wanted to understand more.
They didn't include like an explanation as to why that was included. I'm meeting with them at 3 o'clock today, and so I can ask them about that. Generally, there's a best practice on where a bus stop should be located for various reasons. For example, for bus operations, it's best to have it through the traffic light rather than in front of the traffic light. And so it could be as simple as that, right? It's better to have it on the opposite side or across the traffic light rather than in front. It may also have to do with sight lines of crossings, where if you are in a certain location and move the stop, you'll have better sight lines for people trying to cross after getting off the bus. But I'll talk to them in the 3 o'clock.
That was one of my range.
Who are the people that make those decisions about the bus stops in town?
It's New Jersey Transit is ultimately going to say yes or no to whether they're okay moving the stop. But bus stops are generally
I meant
maintained
like
by
the
the
school
township.
bus stops.
Oh, school bus stops, that's the school board who decides on those things. I am planning to meet with them there. As you
Yeah.
can imagine, at the end of the school year, pretty busy, but I'm meeting with them in July to discuss kind of how they figure out their routing and their stop placement. Because I've had a number of residents express concern about the fact that their kid's school bus stop is on a very busy road or at an intersection they don't feel particularly safe at.
Would that be something that you can put on an agenda for this meeting? I'd be interested in hearing that too. Could we invite them to join us when you have that? Something you'd rather do privately?
No, I certainly can invite them. We have a board representative who is generally tries her best to get here.
Yeah.
Ms. Shaw, who I believe, I guess she's not able to be here today, but I'd be happy to talk about it with everyone as well, and to have them explain. I'll meet with them first to I don't want to blindside them by just saying, come talk to the entire board about how you do buses.
I would love to be involved.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we don't think about it, but the school district is the largest transportation provider in the township by far.
Yeah.
Pales in comparison to NJ Transit. And so, Councilor Polar, I see you've got your hand up.
Sure, thank you. Are you able to hear me? Because my computer had to update.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Wonderful. I just needed to go back to the Maple Avenue project where you said that someone mentioned the bid came in lower than expected. Can I just hear those numbers again? And then the remaining funds that are left, I'd like to know what has been identified for use, because I would like to see the South End sidewalk repaired. We know that community development block grant funding only works on one side of the street in the South End, and the other side is the county road. But the side that is township property that community development block grant money can go to is in such disrepair. It's incredible, and the county side looks beautiful. So I just wanted to hear the totals again on Maple Avenue. I heard it came in at a lower bid. So if someone can just run those numbers back and then let me know what the leftover amount would be. I would like to see some effort put into repairing the sidewalks there. And Jake, I know that I emailed you and the manager, the mayor, and Mr. Scantlebury a while back with some of the business owners' concerns about the sidewalks and the status of what they look like currently.
Gotcha. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Norberto. The estimate was that we were expecting bids around $390,000. for the project. We received 7 bids, and there was quite a range on them. The low bid was $316,000.
Yeah.
The high bid was around $425,000. All that being said, the entirety of the community development block grant funds are being consumed in either of those circumstances. The balance was going to be covered by township funds. And I don't know that there has been an identified use for any remaining because a bid hasn't been selected yet. So we don't know what that figure is.
Okay,
I just
well,
know the bids have been.
thanks. Just, I'm putting it on the record, if there's remaining funds, let's get the sidewalk repaired. If not, I'd like to add the sidewalk in the South End Business District to the list of complete streets agenda for the future to get some work done. The other thing is I too would like to be a part of the New Jersey Transit meeting when that's held in July. And
Sorry, that's a meeting with the school board's transportation director, not New Jersey
Still,
Transit.
I work for public schools. I would love to be a part of that meeting. So I'll go back on mute.
Understood.
And while we're talking, just why I have you, the chart that you have up, if you can just go back maybe 2 pages, because what I can see, it stops at Union and Washington. I didn't get a chance to see the other 2 pages because my computer was updating.
So
Okay, so there's nothing here
And
for
then-
Grove Street, right?
these are only municipal streets.
Okay. And Grove Street's a county road?
Correct.
And do you know how many traffic lights are on Grove Street?
Traffic lights? Yeah, Bloomfield, Glen Ridge, Walnut, Chestnut, Watchung, and then Bellevue, Alexander, Mount
Yeah.
Hebron. So like 10 or so.
Okay, so and maybe you don't know this, how did we get 10 traffic lights on a county road on Grove Street?
I can't answer that question, unfortunately. It's a county road, and they've
Well,
all
could you
been
look
here
into
for.
it and perhaps
quite
at the
some
next
time.
meeting, you can give us an answer because Orange Road is also a county road. And I'm just curious, Grove Street has 10, the other side of town has 1. No, we actually have 2, I'm sorry. So if you can just do a little research and maybe perhaps have an update at the next meeting, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
They've all been there for a long time, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what's being, like,
Well, what I'm
If-
hearing,
if-
complete streets a lot. I try to attend these meetings every Thursday at 12 o'clock. The word on the street is it's a county road. It's like, when do we pressure the county? When do we just have a meeting dedicated to county roads? When are we going to get some work done in the southern end of town? Just saying it's a county road, to me, is not enough. We really need to dedicate 1 meeting or maybe 2 meetings to figuring some things out with the county so that we can get some repairs and traffic calming measures, et cetera, happening. So,
Understood.
hopefully in your research, well, trying to determine how we got 10 traffic lights on Grove Street, it's just research, right? Then we can maybe have a bigger conversation and know what we can approach the county with or what we want to do or how to do it. But to just keep saying it's a county road and nothing happened, it's just a little unacceptable to me.
we've made requests of the county for Orange Road in certain circumstances, and they have responded in ways that we've appreciated, but also have not necessarily aligned with our requests. So when the South End Triangle first came up, for example, we had discussed with them our concerns and made some recommendations for delineators and a centerline rumble strip to address some of the concerns in that area, and they responded by putting up signage. So they were responsive to the request in a way that we didn't necessarily expect, or wasn't our first choice, but they did respond. And I recently made a request for some improved signage in the South End Business District area after Officer Peterson of the police department made a request around some illegal parking that was going on. And so we have communicated with the county on these issues. There's always more to be done. And unfortunately, Rick wasn't able to join us this week. But understanding and acknowledging that they control the roadway is not us saying there's nothing we can do. It's an acknowledgement of the fact that I can't go into municipal archives and find why the traffic signal went in, because that wasn't our choice. I can do some research.
I understand.
Spent a lot of last week. I spent a lot of last week researching the history of the Orange Road Triangle so I could understand that traffic pattern. And my intern Levi was very helpful in working with the Montclair Public Library to get me access to the old Montclair Times articles laying out how that traffic pattern came about, what the controversies were. And so like, I'm more than happy to dig into these details.
But one of the most recent traffic lights that we have on a county road is the one that's at the Charles H. Bullock School, when we, fought to
At
have
Elm
that
Street.
there, which
Yeah.
is in the fourth ward. And the rest of them have been there longer than I have, and I've been here like forever, about 100 years,
Yeah, correct. So
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that one was probably installed because the school was there. I don't know. But, and I'm speaking more of just not about signage in the South End or the Fourth Ward. We have a intersection in town where we had 2 accidents in one weekend. I actually asked the police department to run a report, Deputy Chief Young, for all accidents from July 1, 2024 to present, just in Ward 4. So it goes a little further than signage and the triangle. We need some real safety measures to be
I
addressed.
agree, and
So
I agree, and that's why in new business, that intersection is the first item on the new business agenda.
okay, and I
And
appreciate
so,
that. Mhm.
yeah.
But again, if we can get one meeting dedicated to the county coming to the table, and let's just hash it out, figure out what we can do and what we can't do, what worked and what didn't work, I'd like to see that happen. Thanks.
Just so everyone's aware too, when having these discussions with the county and making requests, specifically for a traffic signal, my understanding how it's typically been handled when the township pushes for and wants a new signal at an intersection that is controlled by the county and the county agrees with it, the burden is on the township to put together plans, specifications, go out to bid, and the cost of the infrastructure is split between the county and the township. Ultimately, then we'll handle maintenance responsibility of it, but there is a dollar and investment that needs to be considered.
And
Yeah, that's why we
And
need
we-
to have the conversation and figure out what it is we need to get done, how much it's going to cost. So at least we have something to work from. Right now, we don't have anything to work from.
I'm not familiar with the request for a traffic light that was denied by them along one of the county road recently. Was there one? And is that why you're concerned we put in? I don't know where we requested a traffic light recently.
No, Mayor, I wasn't requesting a traffic light. I'm trying to understand how
Oh.
Grove Street, which is a county road, was able to get 10 traffic lights over the years. In the southern part of town, we only have 2. I'm just
They
trying to
put
see
those
what
in when we had
mechanism.
horse and buggies. They wanted the horses to slow down.
Well, I don't know, but I just think it's really time to bring the county, and whatever officials we need to bring from the county to the table to start having these hard conversations, so we have a better understanding of cost and who's responsible for what, because I don't see any traction happening. That's my point. I hear traction on other things, just like someone mentioned, we should put out a survey. Surveys don't work too well. I think it has to be more of a boots on the ground, door knocking, on the street town hall meetings to get action. And perhaps the Complete Streets Board would put together a road show and actually go on the streets and have town hall meetings with residents to learn about the issues in all wards where the problems are. Because if you're not hearing from the residents, I don't know how we're making good decisions about what needs to be handled first, second, or third. So just my thoughts. Hopefully the Complete Streets Board will, eventually come up with a road show and get some town halls on the streets. We watched one town hall on the street work magnificently for Sutherland Terrace. If that was effective, I think it can be effective in all areas of town where we get residents to come out and talk to people on the street about their concerns. Just a thought.
Thank you. Anyone has any more questions on the proposed countermeasures? Otherwise, I'll keep us going on our agenda. Just a brief plug for the Church Street pedestrianization, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. starting June 19th, one weekend a month. We're trying to program it, have it be a blast for everyone. You can, shameless plug, to scan the QR code or go to the link to apply to host programming. We're looking for all sorts of stuff, whether it be dance classes, fitness classes, art installations. I've gotten some really cool proposals that I'm really excited about. And so it'll be a lot of fun and a real place for people, which I'm so thrilled about. And now, so that covers old business. I want to loop back around to number 6 on the agenda briefly, with some proposed schedule changes to our meeting dates. Currently, I'm unable to be here for the July 9th and August 13th meetings, and so I propose just pushing them back 1 week to July 16th and August 13th, respectively.
July what?
July 16th and August 13th, or August 20th would be the new proposed dates, just 1 week back. We're obligated to have 10 meetings a year.
Oh, this one, okay, thanks.
And so if anyone has concerns about those dates, questions,
And sometimes people don't have meetings in August.
that's why, you know, we're obligated to have 10 meetings a year. And so I know it can be a challenge to get everyone in a room over the summer with,
Right, but people actually, some folks like to have a little vacation.
yes, correct. And
July
so,
16th, okay, July 16th.
and should we find that we're unable to have a quorum or don't have specific items for the agenda, right, we can always make a change at that point too. We could also try to consolidate those meetings and perhaps do an August 6th meeting, do one meeting that covers both months. Let me start with, do the 16th and 20th work for everyone?
I would prefer August 6th to the 20th.
Oh, yeah. We may not be able to do the one meeting because we want to do yeah.
For which one?
Okay. Or do we just keep July 16th?
July 16th at noon time.
I'll be out of town, but I can just,
Okay.
I mean, on the August 20th.
I was on that. We have council, okay? Oh, no, that's not the council.
Yeah, what is it necessary to have the August meeting? If you just have the July.
Okay, so
Yeah. I'm good
just
with
do
that.
July 16th.
I'm good with that.
We can always schedule a special meeting should we need. That's totally doable. So right now, taking the read of the room, I'm gonna motion to change the date of the July 9th meeting to July 16th.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. And then I'm going to move to cancel the August 13th
Second.
meeting. Second here. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you all. And we need
Thank
to
you.
schedule a special meeting, we can certainly do so. Now we are going to continue to new business, hop to number 8. And so I've got 2 proposals here. I did some research at the intersection, looking at our crash data, our speed data, and had some conversations with Sergeant Karen Dang in the police department, Austin and Norberto. And I think there's kind of 2 ways that we can start to address these issues. So looking at the crash data of the crashes within 275 feet of this intersection, 275-foot radius between 2019 and February of 2026. 37 of them were right angle crashes. So what that means is you've got cars making a T in some sense, right? The front of the car is hitting the side of another. When you tie that together with the data that shows the cars making immediately prior to the crash, 91% of them were traveling straight forward, right? People weren't trying to turn. They were just moving straight ahead. And there were very few rear end collisions, almost very few. And so all of this indicated to me that the issue is the cross traffic, right? It's the folks trying to make a left and the folks trying to go straight across the intersection. This was matched with Sergeant Karen Dang's anecdotal report that essentially what is happening in most of these crashes is someone's trying to go from High Street across Orange Road, and they're either hitting someone on Orange Road or someone on Orange Road is hitting them. So it seems pretty clear that the issue is the straight left turn movements from the municipal roads. And where that's helpful is that we can control those municipal roads. We can have an influence on them. We can't change Orange Road. We can't just put down a hardened center line, that sort of thing. But we can change behavior on the municipal roads. And so an example that kind of proves that hypothesis is just up the road at Llewellyn. So Llewellyn is a T intersection.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go across.
Right.
It has very few crashes. I think there's maybe been 4 or 5 in the last 5 years.
You can't make a left.
You
at
can't
all.
make, yeah, there's a lot of more
Yeah.
control at that
Yeah,
intersection
yeah.
and a lot fewer crashes.
Yeah.
And so that's like a very clear comparison. It's got, if anything, worse sight lines. And so it's not necessarily any safer from like a sight lines perspective. It has high speeds as well. And so it seemed to be a good comparison that controlling the movements would be helpful in preventing crashes. And so I did 2 very poorly drawn examples of interventions that I think could work. The first would be pretty straightforward. So Irving Street is only 2 blocks long. It ends at, I believe, Lincoln is at the north end of Irving. Remembering correctly.
Lexington.
Yeah. Lexington, sorry.
Lexington.
And so by shifting the short 1 block stretch and making it a one-way so that you can only go out from Irving, you would eliminate people using High Street as a cut through to get east towards Glen Ridge and the Parkway. And so as you can see here,
I'm losing you now.
Oh, yeah.
How do we get to, where are we? So they're trying to go to Glen Ridge in the Parkway?
yeah,
High
so
Street?
it seems a lot of the traffic is High Street going towards Lincoln and Lexington.
Okay,
And so by making Irving a one-way street where you can only exit onto Orange Road, you prevent cars from crossing straight onto Irving from High.
What is generating the traffic down Irving? Where are they trying to go?
up to High Street mostly, or or left and right. They can do anything they want now. They can do right onto Orange, left onto Orange. They can go right onto the curb to Elm, or they can go to High. They can go anywhere.
Is there a way of determining, I don't know.
Yeah.
If a majority of the crashes from High Street going to Irving or Irving going to High Street?
So
From High Street
unfortunately,
going to Irving, I bet, because I've seen them all.
that Sergeant Karen Dang's anecdotal report is that it's High Street going to
Yeah.
Irving.
Okay.
That's my
The
anecdotal
challenge
too.
with using the data for that is the police report reflects the direction of travel of the crash, which is not necessarily indicative of where the cars were going. Because if a car is, say, crossing Orange and gets T-boned, the direction of the crash is going to be north.
Yeah.
That's not where the car was going, though.
Yeah.
And so it is a kind of a flaw in the data and allowing us to determine where the end destination is. High Street has about 500 more cars a day than Irving does.
Yeah.
It's a busier street. It goes further. Irving's only 2 blocks. And so looking at all that, a very straightforward way to end that cross movement, right? Those folks trying to cross the intersection would be to make Irving one way. Now, folks could still go from Irving to High Street, but that appears to be less traveled from the anecdotal reports and the data showing. I just don't know that that's going to be as big a traffic generator. And especially since Irving is only 2 blocks long, and Elm Street and Orange Road are right there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a lot of need to go there. It's not a very good cut through street. It's
Yeah.
just not necessary. And so that's kind of the first proposal. It's a change in the traffic pattern. Implementation would be some signage and some striping.
Can we speak to the neighbors? I think that that would be a waste of time, and I can really, from all the decades that I've been in that same neighborhood, we have to do something with the High Street traffic coming and the Orange Road traffic that's going that way. I don't think it's going to do much of anything to change the flow of traffic on Irving Street, except for maybe inconvenience of residents that are there. I think we need more data to think that that would do much of anything. They come zooming down High Street. They come zipping, and
Right.
they don't want to wait while the traffic is at Irving trying to turn left. So they try to cut across while the people are turning from Irving Street. So these people don't want to wait for the traffic to turn here. But the
Right.
traffic is still here, so they just go. They just go. We've got to find a way to stop that High Street stuff from happening.
So the other thought proposal I had, and none of these are happening tomorrow, right? They would require action of the mayor and council, would require
More
more
study.
community outreach to
Yeah.
talk to folks about it.
Yeah.
But the other proposal would be to basically eliminate left turns and straight movements at the intersection by essentially putting a triangle at the exits of Irving Street and High Street. And so there would be no one way, right? But at the end of those roads, you could only turn right out of them onto Orange Road. And you would only be able to access those roads from a rightward movement, right? And so this would eliminate both going straight across the intersection and also eliminate left turn movements. It would make them impractical because you'd have to do an illegal turn movement. And that would, like the one way, but perhaps a little more intensely, right? It would limit the amount of cross traffic at this intersection. And it would mitigate the risk of those right angle crashes that are plaguing the intersection. Because so few of them are rear end collisions, it's not a situation where people are making a turn and then being hit by a car traveling on Orange Road. It's a situation where there's conflict at the cross street. And so by putting a triangle, you would mitigate that risk, and you would force cars to make a right or a left, or make only right movements. You would significantly limit the risk of that cross conflict.
When you say triangle, you should mean like a traffic splitter.
Yeah,
Similar to what was installed at Church Street Circle.
correct.
Where
Yeah,
it's raised. It's not
and
great with the surface. It's an obstacle.
yeah,
What
and
happens for the traffic that's coming from High Street? Like they dropped the kids off and now they're, zooming to go to work. What happens when they get to that intersection?
so if you were coming from High Street,
Mhm.
right? So I'm traveling down High. I would only be able to make a right onto Orange Road South. If I was coming south on High Street, I would obviously be able to turn onto Cedar and then make my way to Orange Road, or I could turn on to Harris, or make my way to Harrison and go where I needed to go. So it would say, if you're going north on High Street, once you get to that intersection, your only option is to go Orange Road South. And that eliminates that cross traffic, which seems to be plaguing the
Oh,
intersection.
yeah, cross traffic is a monster.
Yeah.
I'm just now visualizing people's face when they're trying to go to work and they got to drive, miles back up there because there's no other way to get. How would they get, like if they work in East Orange and they're coming down High Street, they drop the kids off at Nishuane,
Right.
how would they get to East Orange? Tell me how you visualize their movement.
So if they're going to East Orange, they shouldn't be significantly impacted, because if they're going south on, let's say, Orange Road, they make a right onto High Street to drop their kid off at Nishuane, right? They then would get to the intersection of Cedar and High, make a left onto Cedar, and then continue through the regular Orange Road West
No, I
down
meant
to
if you're
East
coming-
Orange.
If you dropped your kid off and you're coming down towards Orange Road and you're normally going right on Orange, once you come down High Street,
Right.
how would they now, because they can only make a left?
No one can in this circumstance, they'd only be able to make a right.
Oh, so they can only go
Only
right.
go right. You wouldn't
Okay,
be able to
so
make a
if
left.
if they were trying to go to work at
Yeah.
205, they couldn't get there. They'd have to go that
Correct.
way.
They would have to either go down Cedar to get to Harrison to go north,
Okay.
or they would be able to go through the Orange Road West traffic pattern
I get
and
it.
take the little loop at the south end.
Okay, so everybody can only go right.
Correct.
Okay.
And right turn movements are generally much safer. It's
Yeah.
safer from a visibility perspective and
And what does
all
that
that.
do for the traffic at the very dangerous triangle that everybody keeps running into the brick wall? What happens there with the increased traffic?
So I don't know that it would increase the traffic flow.
Okay.
Because you're not necessarily going to add cars. It's just redirecting movements, right? The idea would be that folks would stop using High Street as a cut-through street, right?
Okay.
Because they're not able to cut through it to get to points further east, right? They'd only be able to continue south. And so, you know, there may be.
So then that traffic would go all the way, they would go to Harrison and make their right-hand turn.
If they needed to go
If they
north,
needed to
their
go that
options
way, they
would
would
be
change
to go to
pattern,
Harrison,
right.
or they could continue through the
Okay.
Orange Road West
Okay.
traffic
Okay,
pattern.
okay. No, I can see that because I was thinking that they would have to go through the south end and circle around.
They can, but they
But they
don't
wouldn't
have
have to. I
Right,
get it.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Levi.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think we should have an on-the-street town hall meeting with the residents. I'm not in favor of making Irving Street a one-way. And Jake, you said from 2019 to 2026, there were 37 crashes that were right angles.
Correct, right at 37 right angle crashes within
Okay,
a
do we know the total
275,
altogether?
56 crashes.
Do we know how many altogether?
56.
Okay. Because we had two bicycle incidents in the last 2 years. Kids were hit on bikes. So I hope that's part of the number, but
It's part of the number of crashes, yes.
Yeah.
okay, good. Well, not good, but those kids
Yeah.
are okay. But we're gonna have to do it on the street town hall meeting because that seems to be the most effective way to get some action. So, Jake, if you can shoot me an email with some dates, we'll get some flyers. We'll go leave, notices on people's porches and talk to the residents. They're the ones most impacted. I wish we could find a way to break down the accidents if they're residents or Uber drivers, because Uber drivers are just, they're just trying to get to their next pickup and they're causing a lot of accidents throughout the township, period. I've watched them make U-turns. There's all kinds of stuff. So, Jake, if you can shoot me an email with a couple of dates in the evening, and we'll probably have to have two on the street and talk to the residents and see what we can get done. That would be good.
Sure. I want to make sure, Levi, you raised your hand.
Very quick comment. I was there yesterday and I think High Street between Cedar and Orange, I think it's closed to buses only during the afternoon drop off. I don't know if that's different from morning.
I think it's only
No, I think
one
it's
way.
closed to the, it's closed to, you can't turn there.
Yeah, you can't.
Because the school buses queue up there.
Yeah, you can't enter from Cedar,
Right.
but you can still get there from High, I believe. It's a quirky traffic pattern, but thank you.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I had those two proposals. I want to make sure there's a consensus on the board that these are worth thinking about, discussing with the community.
No, I don't think we need to think about making Irving Street a one-way at all. I don't see any benefit in it. I'd really like to have more data to demonstrate that the traffic coming from Irving, had anything to do with that. Before we start going door to door and putting flyers on people's things and having them think that their street's gonna become a one-way, I really want to see what that would do. I think that everything else that you suggested, like the triangle, those type of things,
Mhm.
I think those things would be maybe worthwhile. I'm not convinced yet that would help at all to make that Irving Street a one-way.
It wouldn't. It's
Yes,
just, it's
I'm
gonna back
sorry.
everything up.
What I'm hearing is that there are two proposals, both of which I heard pretty thorough analysis for. Nothing has been decided.
Right.
And so the idea for a meeting or what outreach would be to present both of these proposals, present them to the community members who would be impacted, and no decisions have been made about which potential solution has been decided or will be.
Yeah, these
I would be okay with presenting both of these for the community members to discuss, and that's why.
I'm
Thanks.
not
Yeah,
okay with it. I'm not okay with Irving Street being a one-way. I know the neighborhood, I know the area, I know the traffic patterns, if you will. If you give people an option, they're gonna take that option, and that's just not, we have to find another option to offer. Making Irving Street, which is only 2 blocks long, a one-way is going to be a complete nightmare for Lexington, Lincoln Street, Maple
for all of the-
Avenue, all of the
Yeah.
streets. That is not a very good option. At
I want to
all.
be clear. I want to be clear. The recommendation was only for 1 block of
It's still gonna back up the traffic
block
on
of
Lincoln
Irving.
and
Oh,
Maple.
from Lincoln.
It was
from
only
Lincoln
gonna
to-
be
From
from-
Lincoln to Orange.
correct. Only that 1 block
The one that has
because
4 houses on it. One,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 houses, 3
And-
houses.
and
Oh.
so and I want to be clear, Mayor. The traffic on Irving doesn't appear to be as much of a problem because it's not as much. People aren't going from Irving to High as much. It
Right.
appears it's the cars going from High to Irving.
Right,
And so that's the
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
recommendation
yeah.
there. I'll make sure to email you, Counselor Toller. But I appreciate if anyone has thoughts or concerns or input on those suggestions. Happy to discuss
I'm
and take
always
them.
happy to have discussions. I mean, nobody wants to have community input more than I do, but I want to make sure that what we're putting out there is going to give us the most bang for our
Certainly.
buck or our time or whatever. And that's the only reason I said I would be, in favor of learning more about, what are we going to accomplish if we had that little strip there one way versus what are we going to accomplish if we do the triangle?
Yeah.
Or in that scenario, do we do both? Do we do one way strip there and triangle? And again, I'm trying to figure out, maybe start with one thing like a triangle and see if that works. And then if it doesn't, you may have to come back again. That's another intersection that we put tons of stuff. You see how it's decorated with all kind of things, curb bump outs, even which the county fought us for, but they were kind enough because we kept saying you had to have the bump outs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start somewhere.
It's an iterative process.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
never a street we're done with.
We can never have too much community input. Well, yes, you
thing
can.
that could be considered is, instead of having the one-way going westbound towards Orange, have the one-way going eastbound towards, Lincoln.
Mhm.
That way you just reduce the number of movements at that intersection.
My concern with that is you're still gonna have folks going from High to Irving. And that seems to be where a lot
But
of.
they can't go.
This would be
I
in
see what
addition.
you're saying.
Oh, so do the
Yeah, I
triangle,
see
so
what
do
you're
the
saying.
triangle
Split it
on,
one
Triangle,
side.
yeah,
Oh,
I see what you're saying.
One way on the other side.
Yeah.
That way you don't have
I
to
see
go
what
another
you're
splitter.
saying.
okay,
You can only make a right turn in
yeah,
onto,
so
onto
it
Irving.
it
That's-
accomplishes the same thing without the splitter.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
And you also have the limited number of movements
from
onto
High, yeah,
Orange
Yeah.
or High as well. So
okay,
just another
Yeah.
option to consider.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that making more of a difference.
Bay East. Split. Okay, great. Thank you all. I'm gonna keep us plugging along. No, wrong one. Yeah.
Plug it.
So, next item on our agenda, a few grant proposals I've been working on. These are all state grants, and there are 3. Each has kind of a different role and purpose. I've been talking with Austin and Roberto about them, and so just wanted to roll through those and see if the board had any questions, concerns. The first is the Bikeways grant. This is a state grant. I'm using as a baseline. This was a grant previously applied for by the township for the project on Harrison Avenue.
Yeah,
And so basically this is a continuation of that project.
yeah.
It incorporates the bike facilities and traffic calming on Cedar, as well as the length of Harrison up to Union Street, and then the Orange Road municipal stretch from the intersection, from the split to the intersection with Llewellyn. And so there's a map just detailing the area in question. And this would help complete the loop for a north-south kind of network in this section of town.
Tell me from where to Llewellyn?
It'd be the Orange Road split. So where Orange and Harrison split to
Mhm.
Llewellyn, there would be,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so around Porter Park.
Correct, yeah.
Got it.
So at Porter Park, you'd
Yeah.
have the northbound bike facility that's on Harrison
Yeah,
would come into Porter Park. The southbound facility would begin at Porter Park and continue south
got it,
towards Llewellyn.
got it, okay. Okay.
And then they'd be connected via, there's a bit of a split on the county section of Orange Road, where we will need county cooperation to improve that, but I've got something on that point C where we may be able to make some, a little bit of progress there. But then the idea is that the networks would connect via Cedar. And so Cedar would have a bunch of traffic calming because it's right by the school and the park, as well as bike facilities to kind of seal the network up. And so that's the Bikeways grant that we're going to be applying
Does that
for.
take up all of the bikeways money? Because I know we had also talked about a bike path bringing the traffic from East Orange, Newark up Orange Road to Cedar.
So
So is there any additional bikeways money, or maybe in the future, if we get any more, we just keep that plan in mind? Because that eventually gets us up to Montclair State.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah. So the way the Bikeways grant works, and this is where all state grants work, and it's something I've started exploring, but I haven't gotten to just yet, is if you want to improve a county road, you
Mhm.
need to do so with the cooperation of the county. So Montclair can apply for a grant on a county road, but we need a resolution passed by the municipality
Mhm.
and the county board of commissioners giving their consent and agreement to do so.
It's a
So-
good time to get their consent.
Yeah, so the timeline for this year is going to be difficult just by virtue of everything, but
Why? What is the timeline?
so
I'm
all of
sorry.
these grants need to be submitted by June 30th.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
They don't give you a ton of time.
Didn't you say you were coming back this summer?
They don't give you a ton of time to get them done, but knowing kind of how this process works and all that for next year, I think it could be a real opportunity to show cooperation with the county and kind of work together while also addressing some of Montclair's kind of serious concerns. So future bikeways grants, if we got cooperation with the county, we could certainly seek to apply for that stretch of Orange Road
Okay, okay.
to do some
Or
bike
Many of us are
facilities.
so motivated just to get it in by June 30th, right?
You're only allowed to do one application per grant.
Okay.
And so,
So
if,
this time we're
yeah,
done.
we're
Okay.
doing this one. But I do like the idea because it would then close that loop, right? It would make sure that you get through the entire system, north, south.
Yeah.
Would that impact their ability, the county's ability to apply for these grants, or?
It doesn't seem to.
Okay.
They have in their FAQ, they have a specific thing where they say like municipalities seeking to apply for county roads just need, agreement with the county, resolution passed by each, governing body. It doesn't say anything about it taking out of the county's pot or opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or if the county could apply for it.
The county could do it on its own too.
Right.
Yeah,
So
for
if we
sure.
we chat with one of our county commissioners and said, hey, we want you to hook this up for us. Can you apply?
That is certainly something they could do because
That's a-
counties
that's a
are
good
eligible.
question. Yeah, okay.
What it does is, it might not limit the county's ability to apply, but no township roads would be improved. Part of that. So
Yeah.
It's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off there and something that needs to be.
Thought about.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Probably better
okay.
if we submit it, 'cause
Yeah.
control of.
I thought it would just be an addition. I didn't see it like that. I didn't
Well,
see it as a take. I thought it would be an addition. Like if somebody on the county applied, say, for that area that I talked about, and they got it, that I didn't think that would take us away from us. I
It
thought that would
would.
just be an addition.
What Norberto was saying was if we're using our application to apply for improvements to county roads,
Right.
we're not able to use that application to improve municipal roads. And so it's a trade-off, right?
Okay.
Because the county would
Okay.
otherwise be responsible
Okay.
for improving that
Okay,
roadway.
okay.
So it's one of the factors needed to be considered
Yeah.
because
okay, I
flying
get it.
on Valley
So
Road
whereas
or
we
Orange Road.
applied for the area that we did now, that we could have been applying to do a municipal road.
Well, we are. We're applying for municipal roads right now.
Yeah.
So that's the bikeways application.
Transit
What is
village.
the turnaround time of that? Like, when would we know?
That may be a question.
Typically, well, honestly, they don't give specific deadlines for like bikeways and transit village. Typically, the first announcement is the municipal aid grant program, which is in November.
Mhm.
Then sometime later, it might be in December, the following year, they'll announce funding for the awards for the bikeways, there's Transit Village, and the other grant programs that are made available. First has always been split.
Then we can do bike.
The state, July 1.
That's the reason for the.
Yeah, the June 30th deadline. Yeah.
Bikeways and
Um,
transit. Okay.
Maya, I see you've got your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So on the bikeways specifically, it helps to know like the calendar year planning as you're talking about applying for these grants. Because that might help us then say for next year back out of how many months ahead do we want to do community outreach and collect things around, say bikeways specifically as an endeavor. But then I was just curious, I know there's like the Grove Street Greenway, I see those yard signs a lot. And then I know the Montclair Bike Bus, I'm sure has opinions about bikeways and traffic calming. Where do we have like a general priority list of where we see bikeways being heavily requested or things of that nature?
So there's been some loud advocacy in different parts, Grove Street
I
Greenway
bet.
being probably the most visible and prominent. And so that's kind of the biggest. There's a general kind of understanding from the SAFE plan, the Streets Are for Everyone plan, and some pre-existing projects of like where the short-term bike lanes are, right? So we've got the Harrison Avenue project. We've got this previous bikeways application. But I think I'll be better able to address that kind of bigger picture at point C on the agenda. And so I'm going to just put a pin in that, if you don't mind.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Great. And so, okay, so that was bikeways. Next is Transit Village. So Transit Village is a grant opportunity we are able to take advantage of because the Bay Street Station in Montclair was designated as a transit village back in 2010. Transit Village grants are available specifically for projects within a half-mile radius of the transit station. It can be, it's a program run by NJDOT in partnership with NJ Transit, and it offers various grants and funding opportunities. I actually went to a really cool program on it at NJ Transit headquarters last week. And they're kind of, the program has morphed over its history, and they're possibly considering expanding who can be a transit village. It used to be, it was basically one per town. That may be changing. And so Montclair may be able to consider expanding where it considers its transit village, and that would open up real
I
opportunities.
thought we had at least two, Walnut and the Bay Street.
Walnut has
Station.
not been designated as a
No?
transit village.
Wow.
Many parts of that neighborhood are just outside or within even the Bay Street Transit Village area because our stations are about a half-mile apart. And so it's close, but it has not been designated a transit
Wow.
village.
So Bay is the only one in town. I know that nobody
Yeah.
past that, north of that was in there because people didn't want to have it in
Yeah,
there at that time.
Bay is the only one in town,
Wow.
but it hasn't happened yet. But there's an understanding that there may be a possibility that becomes a new thing where you can have multiple transit villages.
Wow.
The Transit Village grant program specifically is on making it easier and safer to get to the transit infrastructure, right? And the Transit Village program actually sent Montclair a helpful list and was like, hey, we think these would be great things for you to apply for Transit Village grants. And one of which is a bike facility to access Bay Street. Bay Street Station, which I always find slightly funny, is on Pine Street, not on Bay Street.
Yeah.
And accordingly, I thought,
Because they took it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
the section of Bay Street between the section of Pine Street between the station and Glen Ridge Avenue is really a good amount of cartway. It's about 40 feet. So there's a lot of space for adding bicycle facilities without impacting the rest of the operations of the street, because it's also only parking on one side. You're only able to park on one side of Pine Street. And so for the section there, proposing a bike facility from basically Bloomfield Avenue to Glen Ridge Avenue. This also has the added benefit of tying in to the continuing of the Glen Ridge Avenue cycle track to the Essex Hudson Greenway. And so this would provide traffic calming through road diet, improved bike facilities and access to Bay Street. And it has the added benefit of being on one of our highlighted routes in our local safety action plan is needing to be addressed. I believe it's number 15 or 16. It's a priority roadway. So that's this first section to Glenridge Avenue. Beyond that,
So I'm sorry. So
yeah,
you're
sorry.
saying from Bloomfield Avenue to Glenridge.
Yes. So if you look here on the map, it's a two-part kind of proposal in the sense that the intervention you would do on the stretch between Glenridge Avenue and Bloomfield is different than what we do north of that because the road
I get what
conditions
you're
change.
saying, but
Yeah.
I was thinking from Glenridge Avenue to Bloomfield. It's going to be a two-way bike thing. Is that it?
It's going to be a question of how much roadway capacity there is.
Right, because if it was only going one way, I would have envisioned that the Glenridge Ave to Bloomfield.
So yeah, that's if it was a one-way facility, I would propose Glenridge Avenue to Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's, we're thinking the two-way.
It all depends on how we can make the roadway math work.
Okay, okay.
Because of the way Pine Street was designed, it's got some curb bump outs and stuff that do
Yeah.
make it safer,
Yeah.
but it also means that doing a bike lane on the northbound side becomes complicated because you have to move the curb.
Yeah.
And so it'd be a question of how are we able to make a bidirectional bike lane work while one of it is contraflow, and so there's technical details there.
Okay.
But the intervention between Glenridge and Bloomfield Avenue is different than between Glenridge and Claremont.
Yeah.
Once you pass Glenridge Avenue, the roadway becomes narrower, goes from 40 feet thereabouts to only 32 feet. You've also got much heavier parking demand. You've got parking on both sides of the street, and you've got you've got some pretty dense housing in a small commercial district. So north of that, I'd propose a bike boulevard. So a bike boulevard is a sort of intervention that allows for mixed use traffic. So you don't have a separated bike lane, but by using vertical, so speed humps and horizontal traffic calming, things like pinch points and chicanes, you slow folks down so that you get an average travel speed of only like 15 miles an hour, which is a speed at which bikes and cars can intermix safely. So you wouldn't prevent parking on either side, so you wouldn't have a significant loss of parking availability. You would do daylighting at intersections and improvements there, which may lead to some parking loss on the edges, but you'd be able to maintain mixed traffic while also making it a much safer road for everyone involved. And so that's because we don't have as much space to separate out that bike lane. And so that's the proposal for the Transit Village grant.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Is this grant money only for like roadway? Not, you know what I'm gonna ask. probably.
So you,
For like, would it be some of the money be able to be used for like a shuttle bus type of situation?
I don't believe so. It's an infrastructure grant. I can send you the like guidebook and the FAQ and like the types of projects that were funded. But it's really about infrastructure improvements. Yeah.
It sounded like.
I'm sorry, I just have one question. The bike
Sure.
boulevard sounds great. Trying to add bike lanes to Pine Street. I'm just wondering how this would tie in. Do you need to do a traffic study for any of this? Because I know there's some folks that would like to see increased train service, which would mean more people down on Pine Street. So like, I'm just trying to understand, are we trying to increase train service or add a bike lane or try to do both? And if traffic studies are going to be done in any of these areas where you're proposing a bike boulevard or et cetera, to just make sure, one, it's doable. Pine Street, Glenridge Avenue are very, 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 very busy streets. And if train service is going to be increased in the near future, I'm just really curious how all this is going to mesh and be cohesive. So just curious if any traffic studies are going to be done prior to trying to implement any of the bike lanes. We have to think of safety, and whether or not increased train service is going to happen. We don't really want to put the cart before the horse there. I just wanted to put that on the record, some food for thought.
Understood. Thank you.
I think it's a good idea. I think for me, it sounds like the idea is to consider the existing uses and make the road safer for all road users. So that's right. So
Yes. Yeah.
the whole concept of complete streets.
And this ties in too, we're doing improvements to Maple Avenue, which on our local safety action plan, they had originally considered Maple and Pine Street one roadway. They've obviously changed names in between, and any of their recommendations were going to be for both. We already covered Maple Avenue, so that we didn't have them tell us what to do on a street we're already doing the work on. But what I'm getting at is between these two projects, you'd have both a northbound and southbound kind of safe, calmed access to Bay Street Station, right? Which is correct, which is the most heavily traveled train station in town, has one of the few protected indoor bike storage facilities in town, has, a significant capacity, the only station in town with raised platforms, so significant access for those with disabilities, and any micromobility lane, right, is also a great place and a safe place for someone in a wheelchair or another mobility device to get to their destination. So it really felt like a good kind of way to tie all these things together. So that's the suggestion for Transit Village.
May I just,
Yeah, of course.
just share this so that it'll be on your radar. I'm really concerned about the traffic that flows in front of the fire station right there, in particular holidays and in the evenings around 5 or 6, because traffic, the cars that are picking people up, they queue right in front of the fire station. And I'm just trying to figure out, is there anything that we can do in terms of infrastructure that will forbid the cars to do that? Because I sit there and I watch it, and I'm wondering why the fire department hasn't said anything. Because if the trucks have to get out, then all of these cars here have to figure out where to go. But since there's already cars on the other side, so I'm just trying to figure out how we can help to shift that so it doesn't end up queuing in front. They literally are right in front of where the fire trucks have to come out.
May I ask, do you think that this is traffic waiting, or cars
Waiting to
waiting
pick
to get into
people
the,
up.
from the
into
train station?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're waiting to go in there to pick up
Yeah.
little John Boy from the train. Yeah.
So any improvements in work would be done to
Anything.
ensure
Yeah.
that the fire department feels comfortable with anything that's being done, right?
Like put some
don't.
signs up so that they can't queue there or something, or block the traffic so that they can only queue to the other way,
Yeah, I know
gotta
they've
deal
got a painted area that they say don't block the box, essentially. I don't know how effective that is
And
in
if you
stopping
don't block
folks.
the box, people toot at you and go
Right.
around you because
Yeah.
I don't block the box. They
Yes.
just, they really are. It's a
The
concern.
traffic is,
Yeah.
the traffic is very backed up on Glen Ridge and Pine Street, just because the train
Yeah.
track on
Yeah.
Glen Ridge Avenue, when the arm is down for the train, the traffic backs up onto
Yep.
Pine, back up on the Glen Ridge Avenue. Traffic waiting to go into the Bay Street parking lot gets backed up. So that whole corner and area is just very, very congested. I live by the area. I'm traveling the area all the time, and I avoid the area because of the congestion and traffic backup. Now, please, like the mayor said, don't add the holidays to it. It's just, it's a lot. I welcome anybody to come down there on a holiday in their vehicle and sit and wait in the traffic. It's a lot. That's why I'm asking, are any traffic studies going to be done prior to trying to make certain areas or streets, bike boulevards, if you will? Because what sounds good here at the table is one thing, but what's actually happening in the neighborhood is something very different. And I would love to see a traffic study be put forward to ensure that, Complete Streets is making the right decisions for the residents and the community. Because it does get very, very, very backed up. And then the next train stop is further down Pine Street just before you get to the CVS. So that whole area is just a bottleneck of backed up traffic.
Yep, and so the key part of the Transit Village's goal program and this grant, right, is to encourage alternative means of access to the station, right? It's great that there are folks who are able to drive, park, but by making it somewhere where you can take your bike, you can walk comfortably, you're making that traffic in very real ways disappear because it's changing forms.
I don't
The
think
same
it's going to
section of
disappear,
road.
Jake. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think you're processing what I'm saying. You need to do a traffic study. Making places a transit village is fine, but if we're trying to increase train service, you're still going to have cars backed up. Everybody's not going to leave their vehicle at home. They're just not. And there's a lot of people that drive and a lot of people that don't drive. So how do you measure and weigh, who gets access, the drivers or the non-drivers. I'm just asking for a traffic study to see what can be done to suit both. We're
So the-
assuming everybody wants to ride a bike. We're assuming everybody's gonna ride a bike. There are people that drive cars too, so you can't X them out. And there are people that have to sit in these cars and wait in this congestion, this queued up line to get around town. So
And so neither of these suggestions eliminate any travel lanes. They do a road diet to make those lanes narrower, and narrower lanes lead to folks driving more safely and slowly. But we're not eliminating any travel lanes as part of either of these things. And so I feel confident about the ability to get vehicles to
I think you should
Bay
talk
Street
to the
Station.
residents in the area. That's what I highly recommend. Again, your feelings, your research is great, but if you're not knocking on the doors and talking to the neighbors to see what it is they would like and what they think would work, I don't see how this is going to work. You don't want to get something started and it gets stopped. It's better to bring everybody to the table, have full, robust conversations, weigh out everybody's needs, and then make a decision. Because what I'm hearing is this is what you would like, you would like, you would like. Have you talked to the people that live in the area where you're trying to implement things that you would like?
So I think we have a policy, an ordinance that the entire council voted on that would seem to indicate that.
I
the
understand
policy-
all of that, Susan, but we
Excuse
still
me.
have to talk to the community,
I
okay?
don't,
And I was
I'm not
speaking to
saying
Jake, I
that
was
you
not
don't, I
speaking
am
to
not
you. He
saying
can
that
answer
you
for
don't, but,
himself, okay?
excuse me,
Thank
I'm
you.
not saying
Excuse
that,
you is
but this
right.
area with people who don't drive, who can't drive, who have disabilities, who are seniors. And I think the whole idea behind the concept of complete streets, which the mayor is quite familiar with, I'm sure, is that we are trying to find ways, alternative ways for people to get around. And so this is one part of it. It's
And
not,
that's fair, and
I
that's
understand the
respectful. I heard what you
I
said.
understand
I understand the whole
May I
concept.
finish?
Again,
May I
no, you
finish
can't,
now?
because I wasn't speaking to you.
I
I
am
was
not
speaking
finished. I'm
to
going to
Jake.
take my time right now.
And
I
you
let you
go ahead, but
speak.
just understand, I was not speaking to you. I was speaking to Jake. You interjected yourself and
I am,
answered for him.
we are in
That's
a
what you
meeting.
did.
We are in a meeting and you had your chance to speak and I'm just responding to you, okay? So this is what we're trying to do through this ordinance is to find different ways for people to get around. And this is a suggestion for there to be a grant application to help enable that. And that's it. We're just having a conversation. Nobody's saying that the residents should not be involved in this process. But all we're talking about is a grant opportunity that would seem to enable us to put forward and implement a policy that this council.
Right, and that's wonderful. And there still needs to be a communication with the residents before we go off and apply for any grant, because at that point, it's too late. If we're not talking to the residents, what are we doing?
So anyway, I was really just talking about the fire station. I don't know.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anyway, okay, where were we next? Sorry about that.
So the last grant application is, it's local aid, right? There's municipal aid and local aid. I want to make sure I get the title right.
Local aid office.
The local aid office,
DOT,
DOT infrastructure grant via the local aid office,
it's municipal aid
municipal.
grant program. Yeah. A lot of joke, the municipal aid grant program, the bikeways program, the transit building.
Municipal
All that's administrated through the
Bikeways and
DOT
transit
local aid
bills.
office.
via the
You
DOT
have to do
local.
the municipal
I think
aid
years
in
ago-
November.
Years ago, it was called local aid
Yeah.
program, but I think when they started creating additional programs.
Yeah.
They changed it to municipal aid.
Okay, so apologies for the mistitled slide. We've been working with Austin and Norberto on traffic calming along the Park Street corridor, south of Bellevue Avenue to Watchung Avenue.
Yes.
We've got, it's again identified on our local safety action plan as a high priority street, high
Yes.
priority corridor. It's one of the areas we're doing a demonstration project this year, as a corridor demonstration project. And importantly, it's one of the few north-south roads that are municipally owned in this area,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You've obviously got part of Upper Mountain, you've got North Mountain. Those are up the hill and are not necessarily used the same way that Park Street is. Park Street's got a little business district down by Watchung Plaza, and then it connects to the Upper Montclair Business District as well. We see it as a great opportunity to do a lot of traffic calming. That's going to take a few different forms. We're exploring a bike facility on there because it's one of the few north-south roadways connecting Montclair Center and Upper Montclair that isn't a county roadway. And we're also exploring the idea of, rather than putting stop controls and four-way stops at some of the intersections there that have been difficult for us, particularly Wildwood and Gordonhurst, looking at neighborhood traffic circles. So neighborhood traffic circles are small traffic circles that help to slow folks down while not heavily impeding the flow of traffic. They're found to be a lot safer and can be used when designed with mountable elements, meaning something you can drive over. They can still be used by school buses and delivery vehicles, right? They don't impact the ability of trucks to access, generally when you're going straight, right? So you won't be able to make a left at a traffic circle if you're one of Austin's sanitation trucks, but you can go straight through it. And so it doesn't totally shut off access for anyone. It allows us to slow down traffic and give people an opportunity to travel safely without having to just do a four-way stop everywhere. They're a really exciting way to try to have an impact and make places safer without, you know, a new tool
What
in the
about some of those
toolbox.
beacons that we have? We might want to try some of those.
We may want to incorporate some of those beacons as well, because I believe they do have them at the Church Street Circle. You can, so unlike a stop sign where you wouldn't put an RRFB and a stop sign, because there's no control at a traffic circle, you could still put it at the intersections for the crosswalks. And so it's certainly a possibility for something to be incorporated. But that's the third grant application we're working on right now. And so, yeah, those are the three grants. I apparently did them in order different than the agenda. My apologies. But yeah, any questions on the Park Street proposal?
So, do you have any idea like where you're thinking about doing the roundabouts? Like which?
Oh, it would be Gordonhurst and Wildwood, because those are the busiest cross streets. Yeah. And so one of the things with any neighborhood traffic circle, you want the streets to have relatively, not equal, but the idea is you want at least you want a similar amount of traffic in both directions, right? You don't want it to be wildly disparate. And so those are the busiest cross streets are the most appropriate for something like a neighborhood traffic circle.
Isn't that busy there?
Cooper doesn't have quite as much cross traffic because more people go down Bellevue. Once you're in Upper Montclair, there's a lot more traffic handled by Bellevue, whereas Wildwood and Gordonhurst, you've got a lot of cross traffic to Grove.
No, I was just
Park and
wondering
Cooper.
about Cooper and Park, but I see that.
Yeah, and so one of the like small things that I think contributes to that is, if you look at the map here, at Cooper, the intersection here is just ever so slightly offset.
Yeah.
It's not a clean cross street in the same way that Gordonhurst and Wildwood are.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't believe it's as much of a cross street.
No,
Same,
I can see
and
that.
you've also got the Bellevue capacity.
It doesn't connect directly to Valley.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
it does,
Cooper
it
does.
It does.
Yeah, Cooper does.
It's not just him.
Yeah. And so that's the last grant application we've got out there.
And so where?
And Jake, if I could
Yes.
just- so as we kind of touched on earlier, we make these projects, we apply for grants. Generally speaking, local aid, municipal aid, whatever you want to call it, we get yearly, right? The other programs like Bikeways, Transit Village, it's more discretionary, depending on how many applications they receive, the types of projects that are applied for,
How much money they get.
how much money is available to them. You may or may not get funding for those programs. But in any case, all these grants are all reimbursement based. Right,
So we put it
so
out.
we need to have the money in place upfront. These are projects that need to be budgeted for in capital ordinances. And planned for in advance. Now, so that when we get the funding approved later on in the year, we can forward quickly, because we have a 2-year window once they announce funding, you have 2 years to get a contract awarded by the contractor and approved by DOT to start construction. So, there's a order of events that, needs to be planned for. And,
I apologize. I didn't have to.
I think
Thanks.
Wait,
Deputy Mayor.
I think that we're gonna cycle counselors in and out. Can we do it like professional wrestling?
you're it.
Maya.
Awesome. Thanks. So just one clarification, and I know this is pending grant approval and whatnot. I noticed the line goes down to Watchung. The road significantly narrows between Gordonhurst and Watchung, and then there's the
Yes.
introduction of parking on both sides. So I assume we'd need to like take a specific look at that block in terms of what we could do for bikeways because it's quite narrow there. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah. We'd have to,
Show me where on that?
just the section south of Gordonhurst. You've also got
It's like where
much
the
more
hardware
significant.
store is. Yeah.
Yeah, you've
Oh.
also got much more
Yeah.
significant parking demand
Yeah.
on that section of roadway.
And then with
And so
whatever they're
that
getting
would
ready to
be,
build on the corner there, that's gonna be very interesting.
right, and so that would be another circumstance where something like a bike boulevard, which allows for that intermixed traffic and doesn't eliminate the availability of parking and that sort of
Yeah.
thing would be possibly more
Yeah,
appropriate,
yeah.
rather than like a buffered bike facility.
Can we go back? I'm sorry, you mentioned roundabouts?
Yeah.
Neighborhood traffic circles, yes.
Can you explain that to me? I don't know.
Neighborhood traffic circles are a proven safety countermeasure. They allow for better management of an intersection because they don't require you to follow the stop sign or the traffic signal when no one else is coming, but they also force everyone to slow down and allows for safer access for pedestrians and those and other kind of mobility users, road users.
But are you saying that we would literally put a traffic circle at Wildwood Park?
So I think your traffic circle, you're thinking like the Church Street circle, and that's not the scale of what we're talking about. They're much smaller. And so the Church Street circle is designed to accommodate very large vehicles, right?
Do we have any neighborhood traffic circles?
Not in town
No.
currently.
Oh,
No,
wow.
Yeah.
Not at all.
this is a novel intervention in town.
Irwin Place has some type of. I like
Irwin
it.
Place,
It's Irwin Place. It's not a circle.
It's not,
but
yeah.
it's
Irwin Park Road,
Yeah.
this little
But
tree.
that's not a circle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be
Like-
much more akin to something like that though.
And it would be a planted,
So it
It
depends
could
on there's different
Could
designs.
be.
Um,
Or it could just
you
be
would want
park.
it to be something mountable,
Yeah.
which means it wouldn't likely be planted
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the benefit of it being mountable is it allows Austin to get his trash trucks through. It doesn't impede the fire department in the same way. Large vehicles can drive over it, right? And so you don't impede access, but it forces smaller vehicles and cars, who are the primary problem, right? To slow down to get through the intersection.
and there's a sign in every direction that just shows a traffic circle sign.
Yeah. So let me give you.
It's a triangle, but there should be a little bit different, opposite, but you have to go around it. It forces you to slow down to kind of swing around it.
Yeah. So this is another kind of similar example in New York City. It's just a small little
Yeah,
traffic
that's the one
circle.
I thought you were
Yeah.
trying to do.
Cool.
And so it's a way to help manage the flow of traffic, but it doesn't involve just a four-way stop at every intersection. And it's I think a very useful tool, and you can really make them something that are attractive and appropriate to the context.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, I love that.
And if I can ask, drill down like,
Mhm.
the MUT,
Yeah.
like how wide is it there? It's 35 feet probably?
Yeah, for a
Or-
neighborhood traffic circle, the measurement you're concerned about is the radius of the intersection. And it depends on what type of vehicle you're designing to accommodate. And so if it's a neighborhood where you have no buses, no trucks or anything like that, right? Like just delivery vans, basically. You could do this in an intersection with only about 35 feet across.
Wow. that's pretty good.
We obviously want to
I thought you
accommodate
needed
school
40.
buses. We want to accommodate Austin's sanitation vehicles. We want to make sure the fire department can get through.
And they could all make it at 35.
No.
You don't have to have
Those you
40
need
feet.
larger.
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
more in the neighborhood of like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they can drive over it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
No idea.
Yeah.
Well, they drive over the one outside of 22 Valley also. They're not supposed to.
And so when you are accommodating those vehicles, right, you can't do the same type of planting necessarily, right? And then plantings also incorporate a maintenance component, which I know creates a challenge for
No, we don't want any
DCS.
more maintenance.
And so that's an important factor to consider. And I know
Yeah.
Austin's being very patient and
Yeah.
understanding with this. But maintenance is a real concern and challenge with anything that isn't mountable. And so we have to be conscious of that. But yeah, so that's the proposal on there. Anything else, or can we put a pin on that one? And
So where would this start?
this would start at Bellevue
At Bellevue?
and Bellevue and Park, and then
Okay.
continue down to Watchman.
What would start at Bellevue Park?
The overall traffic calming, right? So it's not just going to be these traffic circles, right? There'll be intersection improvements. There'll be intersection improvements, daylighting, that sort of thing. Some sort of bike facility, whether that be a bike boulevard style or a buffered protected bike lane. And then the intersection, the traffic circles would be planned for Gordonhurst and Wildwood because they're the heavily traveled cross streets.
And just to, we discussed this too.
Yeah.
This would likely be phase one, right? Because of the length,
It's
The
a
scope of
long
this.
stretch.
it's gonna be a multi-year application process, so we'll apply this year. Typically, we get somewhere in the range of $400,000 to $500,000 of funding every year through this program specifically. So we're looking at applying this year and next year. Hopefully getting about $800 to $1 million of funding to then take care of this as one project
Awesome.
through 2 grant funded years.
Much as we did
Yeah.
for
Similar,
Upper
just
Mountain.
like we did for
Nice.
Mount At.
Yeah, yeah,
Again,
that's awesome.
We need to have that money in the capital,
Yes.
separate from our road program. For
But
me,
this is just the engineering and building the little circle and then restriping the side. To what we're talking about.
When you say just, you then described all parts of the project, and so
And the circles.
it's it'd be whatever, it'd be the circles, it'd be the engineering, it'd be the improvements at the intersections that aren't Gordonhurst and Wildwood, right? So
Yeah.
high visibility crosswalks,
Couple of them
daylighting,
are-
whether that be
are
painted curb extensions or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Any incorporated RRFBs, like it'd be all of that.
In addition
What's the
to
S for?
repaving. the road.
In addition to repaving.
The road as well. Actually already had Belgian black curbs,
Thank you.
but some of it needs some attention. There's some areas that are dislodged and broken, so we'll be repairing those sections of curbs as well as we go along, as well as reconstructing the ADA curb ramps.
Yeah.
So,
that 800,000 would cover the entire cost. Would it?
no,
Yeah, so it would still be a portion where we'd have to contribute.
But we still have to put all of it in the capital.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
so, we recommend, breaking it up. You don't want to
Okay,
spend one capital budget,
Yeah.
funding the entire project, because
Yeah.
that limits you with other things. So we typically try to do is split it up in multiple years so that when it's time to do the project, the money's there, but it allows flexibility on a
Yeah.
year by year basis.
oh,
to-
it makes sense, yeah,
So
I
the,
like that.
getting back to the circles, which are just fascinating. This is really interesting. It's curb height, so it would be like a Belgian block circle, right?
There's different forms they can take. There's no one design. They can be curb height, right? But they can also be sloped. So
Mountable.
yeah,
Angle, so it won't be just a straight curve.
But it would be,
like
it would be
140.
this time.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
It's just something we could do a demonstration project with as well.
Yeah.
Just build in the middle and kind of painted, or, it's like this is something, if you feel like if you need help visualizing it, we could put something very temporary
Well, we need,
on
if
the.
it's the first, you know, if it doesn't exist anywhere else.
I mean, it
first-
exists.
No, I'm saying.
Yeah.
here, That people see.
What about
because
the
I
one
do-
that's right by the hospital? There's a little circular little thing
Oh,
there,
it's-
but that has plantings on it, but you know the one I'm
Yeah,
talking
Like
about,
that in
yeah,
Church Street. It's like
yeah,
very conspicuous what it is. It's great.
yeah.
They're not great for pedestrians.
No, they are,
They are.
because they slow folks down,
They slow folks down.
Feel comfortable then.
which is the
Personally.
point.
Not walking.
Because you don't know where to go.
Standard
Yeah.
beef is that it's trade off with.
So we'd have to reconstruct that whole, so typically pedestrians cross at the corners.
Right,
You wouldn't be able to do that here. We'd have to pull the crossing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
yep,
Further into the streets.
So you can't curb, but you could curb out if you move them away from the corner.
Well, you don't generally curb out, but you have one of those small triangles to direct traffic
Prevent, smaller vehicles from just.
going straight,
But effectively making it narrower.
Yeah,
because you narrow the crossing distance.
It's very similar to in practice, I guess you'd say, to Church Street Circle, but shrink it down. to the interest scale.
Because you don't have to accommodate the same size vehicles, right? The Church Street Circle was designed to accommodate just about everything. Whereas for this, right, we don't need to accommodate an 18-wheeler. We don't need to accommodate an NJ Transit bus. We need to accommodate a school bus and sanitation vehicles and fire trucks.
they're private, the boxcar buses go on part of it.
Yeah.
And they could still go straight through. And that's where the mountable element comes in.
So what we would do, we're gonna have to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but what we would do, once we get to the design phase, we would run simulations, models of different vehicles making the turn around to make sure that it's effective in curtailing, pedestrian vehicles from making illegal maneuvers, but accommodates larger vehicles like sanitation or delivery trucks, without being totally restricted. So that's kind of the process we built through.
Okay. Great. The last thing I've got, I didn't make a slide for it. We've talked a lot about needing a bike plan to get the county to agree to things. I'm planning to make an application, once these are done, to the New Jersey Bike and Pedestrian Resource Center. I met with them at that same NJ Transit Villages event, and they said that it's pretty straightforward and that they've got on-call planning and engineering services available to municipalities who essentially write a nice letter asking for it. And when I said, this is what I think we need, it seemed to be well within the scale of services that they'd be able to provide us. And so once these applications are done, I'm going to reach out to the Bike Ped Resource Center. They assisted us with a ton of school travel plans back in 2013, and then also supported the Streets Are for Everyone Safe Plan. And so I'm really excited that that kind of is on the horizon. And I think it'll be really helpful for us in advocating at the county level for improvements to all the county roads in town, and will help give us the kind of support and backup we need to get some improvements to county roads in town. And that's all I have. If there's any members of the board who have comment, concern, we're at that part of the agenda. Hearing none, public comment. I know we have some members of the public here.
Hi.
Please state your name
For
and
those of you who don't know me, my name
address.
is David Corbridge. I live at 58 Tuxedo Road, here in Montclair. I've lived here for not quite 20 years. So I'm here representing or speaking on behalf of the group of the First Street Greenway. You probably see the sign around town. I know some of you have been on emails. I'm coming probably because I've spoken with some members of the Building Committee and National Council. They suggested we all have to raise issues. We are interested in getting a protected bike lane and other traffic calming measures along Grove Street. For a variety of reasons, partly it is one of them. I mean, I've seen the map. It seems like that's one of the major traffic crashes in town. I know it's on the Essex County's safe streets concern. And the Montclair Crashes website was 9 crashes on Grove Street this year for the last week, actually. One about half a block from my house, 1 in the morning. So that, and it's something that does have popular support. We have a petition, we have over 700 signatures on it. I know the township council and the county reduced the traffic speed limit to 25, but everyone still drives 30, 35, 40 miles per hour. It's not redesigned, so it would also be a way to reduce illegal speeding on the street. And frankly, just in terms of sort of micromobility, it would be a really good artery from North Montclair, and some ways it's kind of a transit desert now, like up around Northeast, down connected to Greenway. We had originally thought of it as like Mount Hebron down to Glen Ridge. Be happy to extend it further south on Elm. I know the mayor suggested that with a conversation with Councilor Toller, some concerns she would have about that. But because we were all from the northern part of town, we originally thinking of it as Glen Ridge, but we certainly not object to extending it further south. We've had positive reactions, both from township officials and from county officials, but I also feel like everyone is telling us to talk to someone else. And so I was also told to come talk to you guys and raise it. And I know it's partly the practical concerns that a protected bike lane, even something like linears, creates issues for snow removal and stuff like that, which I recognize are real concerns, but also recognize that if the township is ever going to have protected bike lanes, whether it's here or Park Street or River or Orange, or they'll have to be addressed. And so the way to talk about it. I also know that's a county road, so that makes it complicated. But again, and I'm actually meeting with a member of the county commission on Monday to talk about this. But I do feel like someone needs to step up and say, yes, we want to get this done. And so I'm not sure if it should be this group or if it's just discuss it as a possibility and see if the technical issues involved, or if it comes to our county council or our township council. But
you're in the right group.
It does have a lot of support.
Yeah.
And I think it may be just we need a resolution from the town requesting this so the county can continue that. I have a feeling that's what Carlos is going to tell me on Monday when I meet him. But I wanted to raise it here because it came up as a suggestion when I spoke with members of the mobility committee of the council. And so I'll just leave it at that and get that on the table for discussion.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
I will just as a data point say that I biked the length of Grove Street from Bloomfield Avenue to the township line a couple of weekends ago at Kittical, Mass. And I counted, and parked cars being the biggest constraint on bike lanes, I counted fewer cars parked than I saw signs for the Grove Street Greenway. There was one more, I forget the number, but there was one more sign than there was a parked car on the road. But that was not the south side.
Yeah.
And it was a Saturday.
I'll say, we talk, I'm not sure you know Ted Wright, he's in town, he's a bike lane designer for New York City. It was his suggestion. Our concept is simply protected lane on both sides and traffic parking on one side, lane, bike lane, traffic, parking. But again, we're open to suggestions, but that because it's a fairly wide street, it is possible to preserve parking. If you drive there, with the exception of down once you get, I live on Tuxedo, it's sort of south of Tuxedo, it starts to get more traffic, there's more parking, but north of Chestnut, there's not much parking. And so there's ways to keep the parking as well. And it would also have the effect, of course, of narrowing the lanes, so traffic. We've spoken with some people who've gone door to door, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I've seen accidents in my front yard."
Thank you. Maya.
I'm in a meeting. Can you find there?
Hi, so I have two things. One, just echoing the Grove Street Greenway. I frequent that corridor a lot and would love to bike it more if I felt more safe on it. Along with that, I don't know if this falls under the umbrella of complete streets, but along Grove as it turns into Elm, there are also several little corridors where I feel like painted lane lines would go a long way. So I'm thinking when you go cross over Lackawanna between Bloomfield and Glen Ridge, it seems very unclear whether you're supposed to be towards the left if you're going straight or towards the right. And so I've seen cars almost kiss as they're approaching then Claremont Ave. And I can only imagine that would get even more dangerous if you have more cyclist traffic of cars not knowing at a wide intersection. It's clear you can fit 2 cars side by side, if not 3. It's not marked as a turn lane in right or left direction. So you get cars kind of doing a bit of both. So that's one corridor. And then from, I believe it's Claremont to Walnut. So once you cross the train tracks as you're approaching Walnut, you kind of have a similar challenge here where you have a left turn arrow onto Walnut if you're heading north. And so many people queue up to turn left there, but then you can also queue to go straight there. And then people also queue to go straight there next to it because there's room for 2 cars side by side. So again, as we're considering these bike additions, which I want, I feel like some simple lane line painting at some of these intersections could really go a long way to clarify whether you need to be in a specific lane to turn or to go straight. So that's my one comment. And then my second is a question around, I know we talked in previous meetings around forming of subcommittees, things like community engagement and other things. So I just wanted to know if there was an update on the formation of those committees. Thanks.
Yeah, so the plan is to have those up and running for the fall. The summer's tough to do pretty much anything, and so the idea is to have those in the fall and start those up. And it'll probably be like a staggered start. They're not going to all start at the exact same time, but the plan is to start them up in the fall.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks. And just a note on the intersections you mentioned, that's the one section of Grove Street that the county has identified in its local safety action plan as needing improvement. And so good, the intersection
Great.
at Walnut and Grove, for example, also has obsolete traffic signals. They don't design them and install them that way anymore. And so there's a lot that can be done there. I'm not sure, and Roberto, Austin, you may be able to tell me, just emailing the county and saying, hey, can you restripe this area is probably not something that they would just do because it involves engineering, or is that something where you think they'd be open to
I'd say send the email.
send the email?
That's
Okay.
something we can request.
Yeah.
Generally, if it's just like refreshing what's there,
Yeah.
generally are.
Well, that's the
receptive
challenge.
To that, if you're changing things,
That's
that's when they may give you some.
okay. So I'll email Rick and I'll see, because that's a pretty straightforward ask. And as evidenced by the photo we're looking at, the striping is in rough shape.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maya. Any other members of the public? I saw someone who had said she wanted to be on. Oh, Levi, sorry.
Say something. The first thing is that somebody just came in earlier and they talked with Jake about they're concerned about South Mountain Avenue. They're a resident there and they're very concerned about the traffic there. They said they'd be back around. They said they'd be back around us, but they're not. So I just wanted to put that out. And the second thing is regarding Pine Street. It's a bit tricky because like you have a whole train, like hundreds of people coming into Bay Street, and they're like all going, especially on the weekends, they're all going into their cars. So it's like hundreds of people go from one train to hundreds of cars. That's why it's important to have a comprehensive network that's an alternative to driving. It's kind of the same thinking about how many, just like how many on one train that makes hundreds of cars. And like as a cyclist, I was just on Pine Street yesterday, and especially the section between Glenridge and Field, it's like a very, I didn't feel the safest because it's like it's a very gentle curve for drivers, and there's definitely a visibility problem. So they feel inclined to kind of go fast down Pine Street. So I really strongly support cycling infrastructure on Pine Street. And you know, we could do a traffic study, but like as someone who bikes everywhere, we're getting around. I hope that will be used against cycling safety. This is very important about it, like what the traffic pattern is. Yeah.
Thank you, Levi.
Hi.
Hello.
So I will just say again, my customary thing. So I will not break the Faulkner Act by trying to tell anybody what to do or otherwise lean it heavily, but just say that my customary list of requests from residents of the first ward. There are 11 items on the list that have been officially submitted to your office. The oldest of which is 307 days right now. Yes. And
370 days.
307 days. Yeah. And that's okay. It's not okay, but I'll keep my cool and just say that we do need to have, it would be great if we had some systems so that people didn't feel that they were just shouting to the ether, and that people would know when things are coming down the proverbial road. There are 11, I would say 10, because there is now official action on one of them, which is Park and Wildwood. I would count this as official action. To hear the discussion of the potential roundabout counts for me as like progress.
Well, and one of the upsides of the neighborhood traffic circles is they are a traffic calming element on the cross streets as well. Because, and so it's kind of a dual purpose. It's not only impacting.
It's wonderful. I just, that's great. It would be great to know that something that's going to be coming to the meeting, just people would like to know in any way possible that there's being thought put into these individual problems. Some of which I know there have been other discussions, specifically the other end of the western terminus of Wildwood and Valley and Alvin Place. I know that was, I guess, talked about at the last meeting or separately.
And on that, a letter was sent to the property owner of the Acme to open a conversation about whether they would be willing to adjust their driveway patterns. And I haven't heard back yet, but
great.
Yeah.
So that they're 9 more. And I will just pass this down very nicely. And I will see you in a month.
Thank you. There was someone who had said they were going to be on and they had popped on and off, and they are not here currently.
I gotta run.
So unfortunately, I'm going to. Oh yeah, of course, Mayor.
So, with all these different concerns and different groups and things like that, and everybody wants input, which I think is great.
Yeah.
How will these things be given priority? Will you continue to prioritize the things that we give immediate attention, or I don't know the proper term, but the attention like now, based on data that we've received and moving forward? Because I'm just saying, like, this bike things, and a lot of people want that. I'm in favor of all of it. I'm just trying to figure out in terms of prioritizing our resources, our people power that we have to have. We can't have, so many things going on that we don't have enough staff to, stay on top of it. So how will we prioritize that? Am I asking a question that makes sense? Because I just have it in my head and I don't know if it's coming out right.
It makes total sense.
Okay.
And so a note on that is each of the grants we're applying for, they are on or including roadways that have been identified as priority roadways in our local safety action plan.
Specifically, I guess I'm thinking more about the Grove Street Greenwood. Do we already look at and get resources for that, or what? The Greenway.
Yeah, I guess when you ask get resources for it.
Well, to proceed with it, because it sounds like, there's a lot of momentum from people, but if it's not something that's going to happen within the next 2 years when this council is here or whatever, we ought to try to give people a realistic time frame of when they might think these things would be on the forefront of whatever's happening in town. I just don't like when people have energy, and they all have energy, but because of other things that have been prioritized or whatever, it may not happen for a year, 2, or whatever. And I think it's a good idea to share those things for as much as we can. We might be wrong, but we might say, well, these are the things that we are really, thinking that we're going to take on for this year and next year or whatever. And maybe that won't get done, or maybe it will. I don't know. But I'm just thinking that for as much as we have a certain timeline in our minds, maybe we can share it with people.
Yeah, so when we have a timeline that we're able to share, we certainly are going to do that, right? We want to be clear about timelines. That's why Norberto brought up that the Park Street project, right, is a multi-year application effort, right? Something like the Bikeways grant or the Transit Village grant, right? The funding may be this year, construction's not going to be this
Right.
year. And so that's, again, a multi-years timeline.
But so we
Something
already
like-
know that puts us back at least a year, maybe more, because
So-
the money won't come. But by the time the money comes in, they won't start on that for the next year. So that's 2 years.
I think saying puts us back is not necessarily how I'd frame it, and I'm not.
Okay, no, I'm just asking.
Because that's
yeah.
just the timeline in which these things work, right?
Right.
So Austin will talk about it constantly, how he's planning for 2027
Right,
in January.
right.
Right.
I understand and
And-
respect
and
that
we're
because I
doing-
am too.
Yeah,
I
and
understand
so-
that the same way that you do. That's why I think it's important. If we already have those understandings and you from just years of working with these things, that when people come in and they're real excited, especially when people are getting petitions and all kinds of stuff like that, they need to know, while we all might be very excited and so on, so there's a great chance that that won't, get to the table till 2025 or whatever, 2024, whatever. But I
Yeah.
think that we need to give people a realistic idea if we can. If we can't, then we just let them know
I
that
think all
too.
these projects we're talking about, like, these are major, important projects, is on the safe side, you should not expect really like boots on the ground.
Yep.
Shovels in the ground to happen and within no sooner than 2 to 3 years
Yeah.
from now.
And I agree. But
Smaller
I think that
projects.
not
where-
everybody, not every resident understands that, and because I value their time.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to run around to, everybody and every day and then keep saying, well, when are we gonna get this? And did you go and thinking that that's how the things will happen.
Right.
I just think it's fair. If we know, if we don't, then, then whatever. That's just me. And if you disagree, it's fine too. So, but thank you for listening.
Understood, Mayor. Councilor Toller, I see you
Yep.
got your hand up, and then David.
Sure. Yep, thank you. I'm just wondering, who do I need to email or request, if you will, to get the sidewalks repaired in the South End? They've been in shambles for years. Would that be a 2026 project, a 2027 project, kind of similar to what the mayor is stating? Again, the side of Orange Road that I'm referring to is the Community Development Block Grant funded side. So I'm just trying to see what is the proper procedure to get the sidewalk fixed. And like I said, Jake, I know I emailed you, the manager, and Scantlebury, and I thought Mr. Mark said it would have to go to you to put on an agenda to get the work done, but maybe I'm wrong. So if you can just clarify and let me know who I need to
Yeah,
email.
Can I try that since I'm on that committee with Councilor Toller? Since, if I heard you correctly, Councilor, that Community Development Block Grant Fund. So we can work with that with Janice and put that in for the next batch of money to go after. It wasn't put in this year. So how they
Madam
put
Mayor,
Maple, yes.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just was trying to see if I
No,
was
it's not going to
understanding.
work through that. And what I was stating is that that side of the street is eligible, but whenever Janice puts in a request for the South End, it's always denied. So now it needs to be moved, if you will, from under the Community Development Block Grant umbrella.
Oh, so you don't want it to go for the grant? Okay,
No, no,
my
it's not even
apologies.
that. It's never approved from the county for use. Okay, they tell us one side of the street is okay, and that's the side that they don't maintain. It's very interesting, the past few applications that the county's always saying no to get some work done in the South End under this particular grant. So now I'm trying to figure out who I need to speak to ensure that the South End, just one side of the street, the sidewalks all chipped up, the bricks are everywhere. How do we get this repaired without the community development block funding? Because it's never eligible. There's always some weird, intricate something that the county throws in, and nothing gets done. So some of the business owners down there and building owners had a concern because they're paying their taxes to the township, but being told it's the county property. So there's a lot to look at and consider here. I'm trying to figure out what avenue needs to be taken, because that seems like a very small lift and fix to get the sidewalks repaired.
Well, I'll step out. I misunderstood.
When
No worries.
when I email you about setting up a meeting for the Irving High Orange intersection, I'd like to just set aside some time to talk about the concern there, just because generally sidewalks are the responsibility of property owners. And so I'm
Yeah.
maybe misunderstanding where there's municipal property down in the south end that would make us responsible for those sidewalks. Or if there's some pre-existing agreement, I'm just not sure of the details there.
Yeah,
So
we have to
when I
figure-
email you
maybe-
about that, we
Uh-huh.
can discuss so I can get a better understanding of the situation.
Right, well, this is the sidewalk that I believe is township property, because they're all blocks, they're red bricks rather, that's not anything a building owner would put in. These were done over a few years ago by the township. So you're talking about
Even-
concrete slate and then these red bricks and then the curb.
Yeah, even if the township put it in, that doesn't mean it's the township's responsibility. But we can discuss that because I do want to understand, because there may have been some agreement I'm not sure
Is
of.
that on the doctor's
Um,
side of the road? The, counselor? Okay, maybe.
Did we lose you, counselor?
All right, it's okay.
Carter side,
It's whose side?
the Barnes and Carter side of
Yeah,
Orange
that's what I
Road.
said. Is that on the doctor's side? Okay.
No, it's the county side where Barnes and Carter is. I'm talking about across the street.
So
Oh, so the Chinese food.
Yes, that side of the street,
Okay.
correct.
Oh,
in
okay.
between Orange Road and Orange Road West.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Barnes
Yeah,
and
when
Carter's side of the street is beautiful. The sidewalk is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's the other side that they're mismatched. They don't even match. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. But
Yeah,
when you say, yeah, I know where we are now. I was on the other side. That's why.
no,
I'm
ma'am,
thinking.
that side is done and it's the county that
When
took care of that. We're talking about the other side of the street.
When I email you, we can set up a time to talk about that so I can just get a lay of the land, if that works for
Okay,
you,
so
council.
sooner than later, because then if it has to be put on Roberto or Austin's schedule for an upcoming year, I'd like to get that, done, if you will. Make sure I'm not
Sure.
missing any cutoff deadlines, whatever.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Anyone else?
No, thank you. I'd like to
Okay.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And thank you.
Abstain.
So excellent. You're doing a great job with this position. I don't know how you do it all, but